jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
Once again, you're tuned in to World Combat Sports. Big salute. Thank you to each and every one of you that support the channel. WCS meter on deck. You know what it is. Thursday. We back at it. Big topics, man. You know what I'm saying? I told you, like, I'm always been that dude that just let the words play out themselves and everything. And don't sit up here and say I, because if those individuals that really tune in to you, they'll understand what you said, right? Or what they hold you accountable for your words. You see the thumbnail, but first I want to, kind of back it up a little bit on some of the things that pretty much came to fruition about this boxing game. I'm not gonna go too far back. You know what I'm saying? I just want to keep shit this fairly fresh in all brain housing groups, right? Deontay Wilder situation, going in there for the rematch with Tyson Fury. I said it's going to take an act of God for him to keep the WBC belt, because that's the way it's going to be, because they have bigger plans to make Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua. And that ended up being one of the most controversial fights that we've seen in this past time. You know what I'm saying? In this era. Big time. Then also, I put a thumbnail up, man, months and months ago about Shakur Stevenson, being the emperor of boxing. You know what I'm saying? He was going to move up from featherweight to super featherweight and start dominating up there. I mentioned it. But the one that tips the scale the most is when people leave stuff in your freaking email and they come in on the ghost accounts. If you think these fighters don't have people listening to this YouTube shit, they do. Now, if they choose to take something from your shit, they're not going to give you credit for it. So it's up to me to take my credit. It's up to me to take my credit, because before anybody even thought about it, I have been on record several times, and people was laughing. Some people saying, damn, that's a pretty brilliant idea. But people was laughing. Now, you can't sit up here and say I'm capping. Prove. I better stack on it today. Prove that I'm capping, because I was the only one on YouTube that has mentioned what I'm about to tell you. Team Spence pays me my respect. You know how Team Spence paid me my respect? Is because I spoke on the very same thing that they're speaking on. They're almost goddamn verbatim speaking the same shit I said early last year. I talked about this shit early last year. Mike Tyson just mentioned some shit similar to what I said to Mar Charlo. That has nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with me. That was Mar Charlo. It has nothing to do with me. But what Mike Tyson said was about his brother, Mel Charlo. You know what I'm saying? All these people are talking in between one another. They having conversations, bro. So, getting these emails and shit, I knew some of you was Team Spence freaking team. I know it was. And if you think they're not watching YouTube, they are. Because now, let me repeat what I said. This is a scenario I did. I said, if Errol Spence is unable, or he does, whatever the case may be, to get that fight with Terrence Crawford, I have another scenario for him to make. I mean, for him to carry out in his boxing career. I said this. Everybody who tuned in to my channel, they know I said it. I said this is a scenario at this point in time for Errol Spence because he has even a shorter window now coming off the accident. Because it's just his body is not right. Regardless of what he's doing, it's not right. Okay. So I said, in order for him to get ahead of Crawford, he has the perfect situation. He has the perfect setting right now in boxing. He's stablemate with Jermell Charlo, unified 154-pound champion. I said, Spence, the current reigning defending unified welterweight world champion. Either he fights Crawford, if not, he has another avenue he can take. That avenue is, this is before the Brian Castano first fight now. That was before Jermell Charlo, Brian Castano first fight. I said, this is what I will suggest that Errol Spence does and Jermell Charlo, because they can make a hell of a lot of money. Man, it would be great. It'll be in Texas. Oh my God. All they got to do is just send out a tweet. All they got to do is just send out something minimal, like it's a competitive riff in there, and people are going to bite onto it, and both of them have the opportunity to make the money. Now, y'all going to pay me my money if this shit play out exactly the way I said. I said Errol Spence move up, fight Jermell Charlo. That's if he defeats Brian Castano and become undisputed. I said he becomes undisputed. It allows Errol Spence, whether he's undisputed or not in 147, to move up to 154 and fight Mel Charlo and defeat him. I said that. Fight Mel Charlo and defeat him, because Mel Charlo already has a what? A loss. So all of a sudden, this shit is coming out that Errol Spence is thinking about moving up to 54 for the fight is stablemate. But Mel Charlo say, nah, I never fight this and that. But Errol Spence is saying, hey, I'll move up there and fight Mel Charlo. Interesting. Very interesting. Let me carry forward. Let me keep going. So my scenario was go up there. And this is for a 2-fight deal, right? For him to go up there and fight Mel Charlo for a 2-fight deal. Do it in Texas. Make a hell of a lot of money. Because it's homegrown, goddammit. You sowing what you reap. You you cultivating the garden, planting the seeds, and that shit is gonna goddamn when the shit start to grow, the veggies and the fruits and everything else from this fight, it's gonna feed a lot of motherfucking families, right? He goes in there and take the damn unified titles from Mel Charlo, and they get a rematch. Now Spence, on the fast track, becomes the 154-pound undisputed champion. That is what you call fast tracking a legacy onto your career and jumping the line, jumping the entire line. That's if Al Heyman would even entertain some shit like that, because it'll make him money. And it's an in-house fight. That's the beautiful part about what I said early last year. That's the beautiful part of what I said last year. But I also said this, I don't think two brothers can carry this shit out. Now, for my understanding, I'm gonna tell you straight out without dropping names, having a conversation with somebody, that didn't really sit well with some people, but they understand, they understood what I meant. This is talking to a big dog. They understand what I meant. They say, damn, that shit make a lot of sense, but it's almost like, can two black fighters carry out something like this and make it believable? So Errol Spence move up, boom, take the belts. They have a rematch. Mel Charlo get his belts back. It doesn't matter if Spence take a loss, because a loss don't mean shit right now. You ain't trying to goddamn retire undefeated. For Spence, you're trying to get paid as much money as possible because you haven't did much in your career. But if you're able to just step up a division, if Mel Charlo defeats Castano, then take those belts, it further elevates the Wall Street of Errol Spence, dropping back down to 147 after his 2 fights. After. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, why not in between? That's too much. That's too much. You know what I'm saying? It's too much. But check this out. What would it do for the selling power of Errol Spence to be the reigning? You know, what would it do for the selling power for him to be the reigning 154 undisputed champion and then go in there for a fight with Crawford? The fight with Crawford, it will basically implode and balloon up into this ginormous type fight, bigger than what it ever could have been. Now that Errol Spence has went up to 54 and did what he did. I would suggest, when it comes down to it, if he was able to take the belts and rematch Charlo, but then that means Terrence Crawford would be somewhere in the weight. But if he's able to win the belts, then move back down to 147 as the 154 undisputed world champion. And I'm not sure where that fight could potentially be. But then the Terrence Crawford Errol Spence fight goes through the roof. Now everyone who was supporting Errol Spence heavy, not only does he has the belts that he has at 47, but now he's made a move up to fight Mel Charlo at 154. But see, the way Spence is talking about it, he said he has 2 more fights. He has 2 more fights, and then he's moving up to 154. For me, I wouldn't tell him to wait on those 2, that last fight. You know what I'm saying, with Terrence Crawford. Because 2 black men making this out, he's not going to face any damn serious damage. They can move around in the ring. Everybody's going to get paid money. Errol Spence can move up, get these titles at 154, then come fight Bud Crawford. What it did for the Texans and the Errol Spence fans is elevate his Wall Street. He comes back down with another division. Terrence Crawford has a division of undisputed. Errol Spence now has a division of undisputed. For Al Heyman, this is a gold mine. This is the motherfucking utopia that you've been waiting on in boxing. Both of these guys have undisputed divisions, and the promo will be sick. What Errol Spence had just been able to do will be in the minds of boxing fans. So they won't have to go in grave detail to sell this fight. Errol Spence will have a fresh credential to his name. People will be talking about it. Then it would make it even that more competitive when it comes to the YouTube community to say, oh, well, you know what? Errol Spence just came off defeating Mel Charlo. Now, it may not get entirely the amount of flames that you want to burn that shit up, because somebody's going to have to say, WCS mentioned that already. If Errol Spence come in here and defeat Mel Charlo, it's fixed because he said it. I'm just telling you, dog. If anything that I would suggest, I would say for Errol Spence to move up and fight Jermell Charlo before he chooses to fight Terrence Crawford at welterweight, because it would bring him much more momentum back down to the welterweight division to go in there and face Terrence Crawford with all that hype. But you know what? They listening. Team Spence listening. Team Spence is listening, because goddamn it, last year they weren't talking that shit. You know what I'm saying? And the people who I talk to, to be dropping that shit in the DM on the ghost accounts, and the people that I had conversations with, they told me that shit last year. They told me recently. The people I call, they say, damn, that'd be a great idea, because Al Heyman can benefit off that shit. But like you said, Jermell Charlo and Errol Spence will have to be willing to play the role and make this shit happen. They can make millions. It has to be a 2-fight deal, though. You have to allow Jermell Charlo to get his belts back. Jermell Charlo loses again to Errol Spence. It's not going to be as bad as Tony Harrison because Jamel Charlo has proven he can get his shit back. But he loses the Errol Spence. It's not that bad because he has a rematch in there. And they can do this shit in Texas. Oh my God. This shit would be like a forest fire over that motherfucker. Jamel Charlo versus Errol Spence in Texas? You're talking about numbers? It does over 500. Look, it does over 500,000 easy. Easy. Believe me when I tell you, Jamel Charlo, Errol Spence does over 500,000 easy. I'm inclined to say that shit does 700,000. Just because if they build it up right and they take the social media, you know what I'm saying? Make it dirty, act like it's some contentiousness between them. You know what I'm saying? Trash talking, this, that, and the other. The training camp is going to be that much better because now you know you're fighting in your hometown. You know it's against a previous stablemate. Once the motherfucking network get a hold of this, oh, you used to be friends. You used to be stablemates. How all of a sudden the clouds roll in? What was used to be sunshine is now rainstorms and thunder and lightning in Texas. We have Errol Spence Jr. versus Jamel Charlo. Who would have thought? WCS. That's who would have thought. I appreciate Team Spence showing love though, for real. Because now Errol Spencer came out and read what Errol Spence said, right? This is what Errol Spence opening to fight Charlo at 154 as long as it makes sense money wise. He ain't talking about no stablemate, dog. This is exactly the shit I said. He said on the zone, Spence, the IBF WBC welterweight title holder from Desto, Texas, the Soto, was asked if he would have any interest in fighting his fellow Texan and close training stablemate Jamal Charlo. They got it wrong. Jamal Charlo is supposed to be Jamel. Boxing scene still don't know which twin is which. The WBC, WBA, and IBF 154-pound titles. His answer may be surprising to some. I think so, Spence responded, adding, if it makes sense money-wise. It says neither fighter has endorsed the idea of fighting each other in the past, since they are friendly outside of the ring and share the same trainer, Derek James. But the question was prompted in part because Spence said he is nearing the end of his welterweight tenure and has expressed a desire to unify at 154. Imagine that. Now Spence is expressing desire to unify at 154. Imagine that shit. Let me get to the chat, though. We got people up here in the chat. I will get back to this article, though. Andrew on deck, man. What's good? Bruce Gas. Salute to you, OG. Tupac on deck. Como estás? WCS, did they mention your name or did they mention something that you addressed? They don't have to mention my name. People who I talk to, they talking the same shit I told them. Why would they mention my name? Come on. Let's be honest. Real talk, Mr. Pass. Mr. Pass. Listen, we're on YouTube. I don't have to put specifics. I'm being all respect. All right. This is the same shit I talked about early last year. The same shit. They are listening to YouTube. This shit is exactly what the fuck I said. They are seeing the light about making millions. Look, they don't want to go outside the house. They don't want to go outside the house money. They want to keep it in house. The only thing they have to do is try to convince the fans that Jamel Charlo and Errol Spence is indeed real life. It's a hit. It's some challenge in there. You know what I'm saying? It's a chance that Errol Spence may go in there and defeat Jamel Charlo. They have all the ingredients to build this shit up into something amazing and put Texas in the motherfucking stratosphere. I'm serious. They can do this shit. I'm telling you, man, this fight right here is something that I told you all the scenario and people was tripping, laughing. Now, all of a sudden, they are mentioning this same shit, dog. To the T. Same stable. Both fighters get paid and Derrick James get paid. Both fighters in the same stable in their hometown. One of the boxing footprints that's on the rise is Texas. You have two popular names out of the Charlo twins and Errol Spence. And now Errol Spence is talking about moving up and fighting Jermell Charlo. If the money right, the money's definitely going to be right. Because y'all under the same umbrella. I don't have to call up Rihanna to goddamn let her sing that hook. Michael Johnson Boxing Talking More. What's good? Said pretty much. Spence been solid. He will be moving up for a long time now. Go said Spence has said, if I don't get Crawford after I'm done with collecting all my side of the belts, I'm going to 154. Listen, the fact that he's mentioning the same shit I said about Jermell Charlo, he can move up to 154 all he wants. But if he's talking about facing his stablemate, this shit wasn't even in the equation. Not too long ago, Errol Spence was talking about fighting Canelo. Who is he fighting? Who has Errol Spence mentioned move up to 154 to fight? Who? Drop a receipt. Drop a voice, something. Because I got my receipts when I said it last year. Who has he said about moving up to 154 to fight? Erickson Lubin? No. Charles Conwell? No. Sebastian Fundora? No. Tim Tszyu? Brian Castano, Patrick Teixeira? No. He ain't talked about moving up to 154 to face nobody until now. Because Errol Spence understands he had the back door of his career and he is in a perfect nesting egg to get paid some millions. And he can do it right there inside of PBC and make millions of dollars doing it. It has to be a 2-fight deal, though. Deal. I said deal, though. It has to be a 2-fight deal. Errol has to win the first one. And then Al Heyman look at it as brilliant as they say he is to come back down and face Terrence Crawford. It builds up the fight between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. And no matter if he loses or what, if he loses to Terrence Crawford, it don't matter because he's still undisputed. He goes back up undisputed. Let's just say he completes both fights up there 154, which will be, my suggestion that they keep the momentum going up there with Mauro Charlo. I wouldn't say drop back down to 47 and face Crawford, even though he can carry the momentum. But the most important fight of all of these, in my opinion, is the Terrence Crawford situation. Because that is the division that he said he wanted to unify. He wanted to unify the welterweight division. So we've been talking about this forever and a day. They trying to build it. What better way to build it up? Put the plot in motion. Have Errol Spence win the titles at 54. Put the rematch in there. Either send Jermell Charlo back in there to freaking fight or allow Errol Spence to drop back down to 47 and fight Terrence Crawford. Because, regardless of what happens in that fight between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, all you want to do is get the bag. You want to get the bag, of course, and you want to get the win. The win is going to be left up to Crawford Spence. But my prediction and what I mentioned about this scenario early last year was the fact that both of these fighters, we're talking about two fighters I really don't fuck with like that. Two fighters can basically fast track a huge credential in their career. Errol Spence can unify 154 and Jermell Charlo can become undisputed ×2 at 154. Two black men can pull this off. I said I didn't know if it can happen because they're in the same stable, and we always talking about that shit that Mar Charlo was talking about, hood shit and all this other stuff. This is the perfect plot. And all of a sudden, Errol Spence is mentioning this shit. Talking about moving up and facing Mel Charlo if the money's right. Of course the money's going to be right. And what they say, in Texas, bro. In Texas. What did I say? In Texas. G5 Gave in the building. Salute to you. Salute my brother World Combat Sports in the chat. Salute my brother. Appreciate you pulling up. I know a lot of people are not gonna COP in the building. Snacks B on deck. I remember Spence saying he would fight Mel a while back. Hey, Snacks and whoever else, you can say what you want to do. I got the receipt. Just several months ago, he was talking about fighting Canelo. Well, all of a sudden, he's coming out and saying, you know what? I'll fight Mel Charlo. The money's right in Texas. He wasn't talking that shit months ago. Why is it all of a sudden coming back up? Because before the fight with Brian Castano and Mel Charlo, I said the best scenario for them Texas boys was to what? Fight each other. The same shit Mike Tyson said. Mike Tyson told Mel Charlo that Errol Spence should fight Mel. Come on, bro. How all of a sudden this shit coming up? Come on, man. You think they don't listen to YouTube? It's a perfect plot to the climax, man. I don't care who come in here and try to dilute the shit. I don't care about that. I have timestamp receipts that I gave this scenario and people was tripping to my man because you was busy supporting both Mel and Errol Spence being in the same fight camp. You didn't want to even be open-minded and know what business is like. That's business for them at the end of the day. It's business for Spence to step in there with Charlo and fight each other. They spar, move around, goddammit, get the fucking bag and convince these people to come see you a second time. You can get paid twice off this shit, but what you really want to do is put it on your legacy. Errol Spence will be unified champion in 2 divisions. Mel Charlo, without moving up, will be unified champion in 2 divisions and get the bag. That is my scenario piece. I remember you did say that about last year. I think he was asked about Castano since he beat him in the amateurs. Last year, Mel and Errol said they wasn't fighting each other. Exactly. They always talking about they ain't fighting each other. All of a sudden, he talking about fighting each other. Even though Mel keep talking that shit, he'll fight Spence, man. Big dog on deck. G Money say, this guy calling everyone out. Said Crawford, that's the fight I want to see. Look, we can't sit up here and act like we boxing, we hardcore boxing heads and don't understand that business takes planning, right? You got to plan some shit like this. Plan the master. Plan for the master heist, like Floyd Mayweather say. The daylight robbery. You got to plan for shit like this. I'm telling you, all Mel have to do, or Errol Spence, is take to Twitter and say some slick shit. Like, yeah, I want to come up to 54. He need to get the belts. Or after he get the belt, say, you know I'm coming. That's it. Errol Spence have to put out, you know I'm coming. And then Mel respond like, come get it. That is it. People gonna run with that shit. Oh shit. Errol Spence challenges Mel Charlo. Mel Charlo responds, come get it. Man, that's all the fuck you have to say at this day about these fighters hyping up shit. That's it, bro. Then it's a firestorm over there in Texas for the right reason. You have former 2 stablemates because, look, check this out. Mel Charlo can always train over there at the other gym they got. They got their own shit. Boom. Go over there. Errol Spence train where he been training. Build up this motherfucker. They talk about some personal shit they know. Oh, I know him very well. You know, this and this happened in sparring. And then that, and, you know, start talking about that sparring shit. Start talking about who got the best of who or whatever the case may be. What Mel Charlo said, Brian Custer, the little boys. I told you on the Brian Custer Last Stand podcast, the little boys moving up. I ain't think it'll be you, Errol. I thought it was gonna be, you know, your constituent over there, Crawford. But if you want the smoke, you can get it. It's a whole lot of areas they can go with this that it'll blow up into something huge. This fight right here may take over. It may take over the heat that's been beaming down on Crawford Spence. If he takes a little break, just say he beats Ugas, right? Errol Spence. And let's just say that Jamel Charlo gets the belt from Castano. We put a whole lot of hypothetical, prognosticating a lot of shit, right? Them two work out because Crawford don't have no fight really. They don't have shit going on. Then all of a sudden, boom, we try to make the damn undisputed fight with Errol Spence. Crawford used to fight him once a year, so it's not going to do him any injustice. You know, he just got out the ring last November. He's good. Errol Spence and Jamel Charlo fight at the end of 2022. It'd be huge. That should be huge. You know, that fight right there, it'd be crazy. Because you have two individuals that can sell that fight. They have such a big connection, you know, residing in the same boxing footprint that they can sell the shit out of that fight. Al Heyman, this will be easy work for Al Heyman, whoever doing that promo shit. It'll be easy work for him to get these two, do all access right there in Texas. Cost effective, in-house money. Errol Spence go in there and fight, make it look interesting, move around. Jamel Charlo come off the belts. Now Errol Spence is on a whole nother level. He's on a whole nother level, really. I'm serious. I'm just putting this scenario out. He's on a whole nother level. He get those belts off Charlo. Charlo may, you know, the fans are gonna say, oh man, Errol Spence beat Mel Charlo. Now what they gonna do at 47? It builds up everything for three individuals. It builds it up for Mel Charlo and Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. All three of those individuals stand to make a nice little check. Why? Because Errol Spence come back down here with all that heat to face Terrence Crawford. That promo is gonna be sick. Because coming off the accident and shit, people, including myself, still think it's a little shaky, even after the Danny Garcia fight. But people won't have that in their thought process if you go in there and beat Mel Charlo. They're going to say, man, fuck that. He beat Mel Charlo off the accident. No, man, that's over with. We're going to see a damn good fight. If he beat Mel Charlo, we know he can beat Terrence Crawford. That's what they're going to be saying. I know he can beat Terrence Crawford. And his whole agenda was to unify what? The welterweight division. So now you look at it like, man, he potentially can have two unifications. Can it possibly happen? He don't need to hold on to the motherfucking belt. Whatever the case may be, or whatever they do, man. That scenario of fighting Mel Charlo is huge. Because right now, you know, Spence is, you know, pedal to the floor to get another chip. What better way to do it than to fight somebody that has all the fucking belts? That would put him in legacy mode to say he's been a two-division unified and undisputed at 54 right now. You know what I'm saying? That would do everything Spence ever could ask for in a short window that he has remaining in his career. Y'all know it. I know it. And we just got to see how this shit plays out. The article goes on to say, It says neither fighter has really endorsed the idea of fighting each other in the past since they are friendly outside the ring and share the same training Derrick James. But the question was prompted in part because Spence said he is nearing the end of welterweight tenure and has expressed a desire to unify. Of course. Of course. Charlo, on the other hand, has adamantly rejected the idea of facing Spence. The good guy, bad guy shit, right? Most recently, the Houston-based champion reiterated that view. I would never fight Spence. Man, Charlo up here, them Charlo brothers, man, they either one extremely selfish or they clueless when it comes to what they gloat about. They gloat about the money. He said he would never fight Spence. Charles told Brian Custon on the Last Stand podcast, I can't fight my stablemate. I'm not interested. We have the same coach. How is he going to work two corners? Nah, I move up or we'll dominate the mug together. That ain't going to work. That's not going to work. Why would you want to dominate the division? You already dominated it. You're a unified champion right now. You only have the WBO strap remaining, bro. He said, I ain't selfish on the belts. Listen. Jamel say, I ain't selfish on the belts. I'm on the way to win them all right now. And then vacate. And then my boy got to want to win. Now, that's the reason why I brought up Boxing Scene article instead of Boxing News 24. Listen to what Jamel is saying now. In one sense, he's saying he ain't selfish. But yet, on the back end of that sense, he is being selfish. Let me elucidate that, right? Let me further clarify how he's being selfish on the back end. He said he'll vacate and then my boy got to want to win them. Isn't that the most selfish shit a black man can say to another black man when you have all the motherfucking jewels? You have all the jewels in your possession, bro. What that allows you to do is provide access for another black fighter to come in your world and fight for those titles. This is how selfish that shit is. He said, I can't fight my stablemate. So you are admitting that Errol Spence is your fucking stablemate, bro. If he's your stablemate, that means you and him can sit on the apron when it's nothing, nobody but you and him in there just chilling, and you can plot and scheme on how to make millions for one another. He also reiterated that we have the same coach. Nobody gives a fuck if Derrick James can work two corners. Don't nobody give a fuck about that shit. Let him work Jamel corner. Because like I said before, if you plan this out, it don't matter who corner Derrick James work. Then he says, I'll move up or we'll dominate this mug together. Now, if that ain't some selfish shit, you're saying if you get the unified crowns, you get all the titles. You'll move up knowing that Errol Spence has to go up here and collect what you just had possession of, bro. Instead of you allowing your brother to eat off what you've accomplished already. You say you're friends. You say there's respect. You say you're in the same stablemate. You wouldn't allow Errol Spence to fight you when you have all the motherfucking titles, all the titles in your possession. You're not having that opportunity to eat and further build his legacy. Why? Because check this out. He said, I ain't selfish on the belts. He ain't selfish on the motherfucking belts. I'm on the way to win them all right now. And then vacate, and then my boy got to want to win them. If that ain't the most selfish shit coming from a Charlo brother, listen to me. That is the most selfish, egotistical shit that you can listen to. Once again, coming from my people. That is the most selfish shit you can say and put that on in the media. Once again, does he mean that? I don't know. But is his arrogance overflowing? You know what I'm saying? This is beyond bravado. If you have someone that you're training with and it's supposed to be a personal connection there, you're in the damn same, geographical location, you're beneath the same coach, you're under tutelage of the same coach, and you say you can vacate so your boy can run around and get the titles. Y'all tell me if that ain't the most egotistical, selfish ass shit that you can hear coming from somebody who's training with the same guy who he understands that, yeah, we can make millions of dollars fighting each other. So what you just said was, I'm not going to fight my brother. Okay, I'm not going to fight Jamal because mama said so. But yet you have individuals that's not your brother, relatable, DNA wise, and Errol Spence, but yet he's your stablemate. And you say you ain't selfish about the belts, but you go out here and say you'll vacate, and then my boy got to want to win them. What the fuck are you trying to prove? You trying to prove that you just what I said you are? That you don't give a fuck about nobody except yourself? You trying to prove what Maul Charlo said and Mike Tyson hotboxing? That you don't have no friends except your brother? So y'all niggas might be right. Y'all might be plotting and scheming already. For you to dump the motherfuckers out, let's just say you get it. For you to dump them off and have Errol Spence run around. And people know how critical I am of Errol Spence. But I keep that shit and I split it down the motherfucking pipe, man. If you're going to have your boy run around and collect belts that was all in your position, you ain't shit. When I read this article, I'll say, if that ain't some selfish ass bullshit, especially when it comes to black people, you put a Filipino in this same position, it ain't no option they're going to allow their damn countrymen to eat. You put a Hispanic Mexican in this situation, they're going to build that motherfucking fight up. Let's get this bread. Mucho dinero. They're going to make this shit motherfucking happen. But then my people, you get on here and say some bullshit like that, dog. It make us look that much worse, especially when it comes to boxing, because you have the opportunity to build. Let me progress with you. Let's eat together, bro. Let's progress together and eat, man. Let's break bread. Let's do this. That's what we in the sport for. I don't know about y'all, but if Errol Spence didn't look at this shit and feel some type of way, you'd be like, nigga, you gonna send me on a motherfucking trail to eat and claw and scratch after knowing what's happened to me, after knowing we this close together, you're gonna put me out there on the trails to find these belts and fight different fighters just to prove something what? That we're in the game of boxing, and if you did it, you want me to go do it? That's fucked up, dog. That's fucked up. Y'all hardcore, Charlo, Errol Spence fans, y'all don't read that shit and understand where I'm coming from. Like, I don't give a fuck, man. You know what I'm saying? If Terrence Crawford was to do some shit like that, I have the same energy. But I know he wouldn't do some shit like that, man. If he had another cat that was over in Omaha that was in the welterweight division that had a name just as big, man, come on. We're talking about an individual that's on the pound for pound list, dog. It made me think there's some jealousy there hearing this nigga say that shit. Errol Spence is on the pound for pound list. And you're going to say, I'll vacate. And if you really want him, he can win him. Or he could have just been bullshitting. But the way he's talking, it seems like he really ain't trying to get Errol Spence that open door. That would be the most selfish shit, and people should see it as such. They should really listen to the words of the Charlo brothers, but you know what I'm saying? If he ain't willing to break bread and make millions together with a brother he's been working shoulder to shoulder with, they didn't never have anything to begin with. It's something much more defining that's going on behind the scenes with them. They may not be as close as people think. And how they talk about Texas this, Texas that. You got the Charlo twin. Look, if you're not reading this, what he said, I'm on my way to win them all right now. And then vacate. And then my boy got to want to win them. Man, why y'all? I mean, I'm just not. We way past elementary and middle school now. I ain't had no middle school growing up. It was just elementary and high school. We way past the damn basic period of understanding, cognizant. You know what I'm saying? Comprehensively. Is that ain't the most selfish shit that you can hear when you have two people, especially two black fighters, that can link up and make millions together. And Jermell Charlo said, I'm on the way to get my shit. But I'm not gonna hold my hand out here and just give them to him. Fuck that. I'm gonna vacate. And then my boy got to want to win them. What the fuck? Let me get to this chat, man. That shit irritates the fuck out of me. I ain't gonna lie, man. G-Money Air been calling out Crawford, but he didn't want to take the 40-60 split. We'll love to see that fight. They got Eclipse 330 OG on deck, man. What they do? Peace WCS, great show. But you already know, BBE, Bud beats everyone. Absolutely. I'm glad EJ gave you your flowers, though. Hey, man. You know, these most, they listen. I don't put everything out, but people think I don't speak to individuals that know freaking certain fighters that I criticize. It ain't personal. But behind the scenes, man, hey, whatever, man. It's no need to even tell these cats. They busy plotting and shit on some other, trying to do online bully shit. Motherfuckers behind the scenes talking to people from the very attachment that I may be criticizing the fighter. They don't take the shit personal. You know what I'm saying? They gonna sit up here and know what the fuck I said make all the sense in the world. Now we're gonna see if Mel Charlo is talking sense, or he's just using that as, you know, he's just putting up a facade, being pretentious and shit. You know what I'm saying? He could just be up here pretending. But that's the most selfish shit I've heard. Granted, how much they support Jerry Jones being in the picture, Texas, Charlo twins, Errol Spence Jr. And for him to put out there in the media to say he's on his way to get his shit, but no way, no how will I allow me to extend my hand to raise my brother. There's no way I'm reaching down there for Errol Spence to grab hold of my hand. I'm going to bring you up so we can negotiate, my brother, because we about to eat well. Not only we going to eat well, we're going to make sure we do everything right to promote this shit, sell it to the people so they can come and goddamn see us lock up. At the end of the day, it ain't personal. We about to do business, my brother. We good? We good. Nah, this motherfucker talking about vacate so Errol Spence can go out there and trot around from damn sanctioned body, and all that and get the titles. When he should never say shit to Jermell Charlo again. Because right now, both of them are pretty much equal right now. Real talk. We don't know who's going to win the damn Udenis Ugas fight. But goddamn, Errol Spence is unified and Charlo is unified. Both Errol Spence and Charlo do not have the WBO title. We know that shit. But Errol Spence is on his way to face Ugas, which he may potentially, you know, in some people's eyes, win that fight. Then they would be pretty much on the same playing field, bro. Until Mel Charlo goes in there and fights Castano and see what happens. Mel Charlo and Errol Spence, really, their destination is the same. Seriously. You know what I'm saying? They first division of championships, right? He's going in there to fight Castano for the WBO, and Spence is waiting around to fight Terrence Crawford. But in the interim, we could never leave out the fact that Mel Charlo, he may not be giving and open-minded to allow Errol Spence to move up and get a second weight class so easily, and he hasn't been able to accomplish it. But me being a black man myself, I put it out there that the way that Mel Charlo can benefit from this is winning the damn undisputed titles back. He'll be a 2-time super welterweight undisputed world champion. I mean, come on, man. Come on, bro. They got to take your cap locks off because I don't see Bud beating Spence, Canelo, or Ugas. They got to take your cap locks off. What are you talking about, COP? Eclipse, take your cap lock off because I don't see Bud beating. You don't have to see it, bro. You know how you don't have to see a COP? Is because there's a lot of people that walk through life with their hand over their eyes. You know what I'm saying? You have vision, but you're afraid what you're gonna see in life is gonna be a reality that you can't deal with. How are you gonna sit up here and say, because I don't see Bud beating Spence, Canelo, or Ugas? He ain't really been fucking with Canelo like that and saying, well, I want to fight Canelo. Let's go on. But y'all highlight that. Check out look. Let me do one better, man. I'll drop the link. I'll drop the link in the boxing scene. So y'all can look at this article whenever you feel like it, bro. But I think overall, amongst all the articles I read, I don't care for a fighter say some bullshit. But in this particular scenario, with where they at in their career, I just believe that two black fighters under a black coach, bro, at this stage in their life, the age they are now, it's a lot of benefit to them plotting this, planning it properly, and eating millions off of one another the right way. It goes on to say for that to happen, of course, Charlo, 34-1 and won 18 knockouts, would need to hold on to his belts when he faced WBO titleist Brian Castano, 17-02, 0-2, 12-0 knockout in an undisputed. We know that. Their rematch May 14th in Los Angeles. The 32-year-old Southpaw Spence, 27-0, 21 knockouts, himself has a significant unification bout ahead of him. He is scheduled to face WBA welterweight titleist Yordenis Ugas, who is 27-4 with 12 by way of knockout, April 16th at AT&T Stadium, Arlington, Texas. Spence understands sensitivity around a potential Charlo bout. Spence said this: "We brothers." Once again, I repeat, we brothers. We brothers. We brothers. Spence said, "Brothers supposed to break bread, right?" Once again, I repeat, we brothers. Spence said, "Brothers supposed to break bread, right?" Now, all you Spence and Charlo channels, you really need to highlight this because it's not up to me. You know where I stand with that. I'm just being realistic as a black man and being mature about this situation, reporting on it. What Errol Spence just said pretty much is against the grain from what Mel Charlo was saying up top. Vacate, he run around, and if he really want to win him, go get him. I'm fucking with Spence, what he just said. We brothers. Brothers supposed to break bread. I guess something Mike Tyson said to Mar Charlo really resonated with Spence. I guess what Mar Charlo said that, well, I don't have no friends. I got my brother. Oh, okay. Spence was like, cool. But me and your brother still training under the same coach, Derrick James. Derrick James, as a coach, he should be plotting and planning and scheming to put this fight together because he makes money off this fight too. He should have them sit down and talk about this shit, bro. Yeah, I mentioned this shit early part of last year. I don't give a fuck who goes against it. Nobody wasn't talking about this shit, even in the media, boxing scene, Boxing News 24, none of that shit. And you know what? I ain't kind of dude to get on here and talk. Oh, I said it first. I don't give a fuck about that. I'll show you my damn YouTube shit right now. My videos, I'll show you my videos on YouTube right now. It's not even monetized. I mentioned this shit because the scenario makes so much sense, bro. This scenario right here is one of the biggest situations that's easiest to make of this era that can make millions of this era. This is the biggest one. It includes all the primary students that should be in class on this one. Jamel Charlo, Errol Spence, and Terrence Crawford. And we also have to include Derrick James. Because Derrick James, he's the coach that's in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Listen to this shit. He's the coach that's in the middle. He's trained them. They're going to ask him, what's the pluses and minuses with Jamel Charlo? What's the plus and minus, pro and cons with motherfucking Errol Spence? This is perfect for a black cast to be a part of. This is perfect, man. This is absolutely the perfect scenario. Once again, I talked about it like 2 days ago, but I really didn't get into it because I wanted to do a separate live on it. And I wanted to highlight some shit that Mel said and that Errol said. But look, I think all too often we don't take advantage of understanding the severity of we brothers. Like a lot of people use that shit just for joking. We brothers, man. We brothers. We brothers. Most of the time, we only say we brothers when it's in a situation of adversity. We should be saying we brothers because we just helped each other get a higher step in life. I salute Errol Spence what he said. I would have rather this been before the Mike Tyson's podcast, so I wouldn't have to reference it to anything and he could just take all the credit himself. But Mike Tyson was on his shit that day. He was trying his damnness to talk the goddamn hard-headed, walnut head Maul Charlo. He was trying to tell him, hey, I think Errol Spence should fight Maul Charlo. Is that not what I mentioned? Yeah, hell yeah. The shit makes sense. Plot and plan that shit, Derek. Y'all sit together as black men and say, we got to make this happen. We got to talk to Al. Let's motherfucking talk to Al. Let's talk to Al, man. This is good money right here, man. This is easy money. Let's talk to Al, man. What was the words of Mel Charlo on Brian Custer's podcast? What did he say? You need to be humble, right? You need to humble yourself. First, he said you need to shut up. You need to humble yourself. You need to take a little less money, right? Sometimes you need to be the challenger, right? Okay, so does any of that, is that applicable to Errol Spence? Errol Spence can come up there and you can be the A-side Mel Charlo and he can humble himself, take less money, just so both of y'all make money and fight for those belts. That's if you beat Brian Castano. Then y'all can work something else out. Of course, there's a rematch in there and you can take care of that rematch. And then let's look at it like this. We can have Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., early 23. That shit would do crazy numbers. All because of Errol Spence taking on another fucking challenge at a higher weight class and having success, which brings that heat and it radiates it back in the welterweight division so fans can start talking about, oh shit, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. That's crazy. Don't let me start doing comparisons now. We all know what they praise Errol Spence for. When Kell Brook came down for taking a beating in 160, was he not still the damn champion at 147? 2 weight classes now. I'm not even asking Errol Spence to go up to 60. I say, let's say 54, boom. And you can drop back down. Kell Brook did it after taking the ass whooping. And they goddamn applaud the shit out of Errol Spence for defeating Kell Brook. What's the difference with this scenario? What's the difference? If he get the belts, he drop down and fight Terrence Crawford. Whether let's just say, he don't get the job done. Still, he can go up there for another fight. Nobody's gonna think nothing of it because he already has a win with Mel Charlo. They get to eat twice, regardless. It don't fucking matter. This shit is magnificent. Yeah, I find it funny too there, COP. You know what I'm saying? I find it funny too. I don't know if you're a boxing head or simply, one of those casuals. I don't know, COP. Sometimes you come up here with some good shit, but you lining up Bud not to beat 3, which one of them he hadn't even really put no emphasis on. 2 of them really. He hasn't really put emphasis on Canelo. And he hasn't really put emphasis on Ugas. Ugas is already tied down in the fight, bro. But man, I just wanted to drop that off, man, because a lot of shit goes on behind the scene that y'all don't know. And you think these cats don't watch YouTube? They do. They just not gonna give you your flowers, bro. They're not gonna damn identify and give you that love because they consider that to be somewhat giving you more clout than you need. You know what I'm saying? Like people has this thing to say clout chasing too much when a motherfucker out here working hard and not asking for handout. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, people come in my live chat. I don't sit up here and say, I don't even put my cash app like that. I don't say drop a super chat. Come on, I don't do that shit. But yeah, when you try to pull up on motherfuckers and do media and put them out there because you love the shit, them motherfuckers say you clout chasing. I'm like, huh? How, dog? I thought a man was rewarded for his hard work and dedication. That's what success is built off of. And then in this media shit, you want to get an interview and you want to talk to these cats. And then if it's too much, they say, oh, he's just clout chasing. Clout chasing is you inviting me over your house to eat. And I say, can I go to the bathroom, please? Where is it? Oh, it's right over there. I go to the bathroom, then open the door, look out, see if anybody looking, and goddamn turn the video on and go through your house. I'm in so-and-so's house right now. Man, this is huge. Look at this shit. I'm going live in your house and shit. That's clout chasing. You know what I'm saying? Not the simple media shit that I'm doing right now, man. Y'all got to stop that shit, bro. Y'all got to stop that. Y'all got to damn give a salute to the ones out here that's really doing it for the love of the sport and going to the fights and linking up with these fighters and talking to some OGs behind the scene. I ain't trying to compete with none of y'all on here, but y'all know damn well what I mentioned today makes sense. This is the last time I'm going to reiterate it today. Y'all need to goddamn find out and do a live on why Jermell Charlo said, I would never fight Spence. Jermell Charlo. I would never fight Spence. Charlo told Brian Custer. I can't fight my stablemate. I'm not interested. We have the same coach. How is he going to work 2 corners? Stupid. That is stupid. No, I move up or we'll dominate this mug together. Okay, dominate together. Dominate mean, hey, allow him a piece of the pie. If you want to dominate, allow him, provide him with some type of value. Like you have to give him some type of energy to begin with. He needs to power up too. You know what I'm saying? He needs to power up Jermell Charlo. We'll dominate this mug together. I ain't selfish on the belts. I'm on the way to win them all right now. And then vacate. And then my boy to want to win them. Wow. I don't know, bro. If y'all don't look at Jermell Charlo any different type of way, man, whatever. Y'all really what y'all call other fighters. When it comes to Bud and Arrow, something I don't even use. I'm not even gonna say it, but y'all already talking about D riders, sexuals, and all that. If you don't hold Mel Charlo, because once again, nobody's mentioned this shit. Nobody's mentioned this shit when it came down to that podcast. Nobody highlighted what Mel Charlo said, and sounds suspect. Because to me, it seems like he ain't willing to help Errol Spence. But Errol Spence is saying we brothers, Spence said. Brothers supposed to break bread, right? Same shit Mike Tyson put out there. So why are two black men in life, one on the pound for pound list, right? Both of them have two divisions. Now, if you think this ain't a problem, you're not examining it deep enough. Both of them have a single division. Both of them are unified champions. But Errol Spence is on the pound for pound list and Jamel Charlo isn't. Once again, Errol Spence is on the pound for pound list with two titles and Jamel Charlo isn't. Once again, Errol Spence has the WBC IBF titles at the welterweight domain, while Jamel Charlo has all the titles except the WBO. He's nowhere close to being considered to the pound for pound list. And we're clueless to see. We're curious to see if he indeed becomes undisputed. What are they going to put him on the list? Because he would have accomplished 154 pounds undisputed, which is something Errol Spence haven't been able to do. So therefore, are they going to put him in front of Errol Spence? Because they attempted to do that with Josh Taylor. And you see what Josh Taylor is sitting right now. So it might be some jealousy in there. I don't know, bro. I'm just saying, like, if he beats Spence to undisputed, allow your brother to eat, invite him up, promo the shit out this motherfucker, set Texas on fucking fire, let them motherfuckers know, hey, let us do this, man. Let us do this. We're going to eat. We're going to eat, man. You bring in revenue. Jerry Jones, this is everything he wished, man. Jerry Jones, this is everything he can hope for, a fight of this magnitude in his hometown. Two hometown fighters, champions, fighting in his stadium. Man, come on, bro. Like, if this shit don't happen, man, they're going to continue to say black people can't do business together. We're incapable of doing business with one another. It's dumb. COP say you make great points, bro, but would Charlo get on board and fight his stablemate? All I'm saying, that COP, is that me being a black man in general, I'm just looking at this from a business standpoint. I really have nothing to do with except reporting on it, right? And what I read and what I'm looking at months ago, I felt that this would be a brilliant scenario for both of these guys to not only enhance their portfolio when it comes to championship fighters, but to also eat and break bread together. When you're talking about black people doing that shit and helping one another, it most of the time it don't work out like that. But in this case, we have the perfect scenario. We have all the Errol Spence channels up here talking about Errol this, Errol that. Al Heyman this, Al Heyman that. Charlo this, Charlo that. We have a perfect scenario for Black History Month in Texas. We have Al Heyman, PBC. We have Jamel Charlo. We have Errol Spence Jr. And then we have the Grand Poobah of Texas. We have Jerry Jones. All that money will be in-house from start to motherfucking finish. PBC in-house, Derrick James in-house, Jerry Jones in-house. If that ain't some motherfucking revenue, I don't know what else to tell y'all. Do you know, if that shit was down here in the A, I'd be saying shit, I'd be more hyped than what it is. I don't think it can ever happen down here. Because we don't have the fighters that's on the level of Errol Spence and Charlo at this moment. Texas is so big, and they know who the Charlo twins are and Errol Spence. They know who Derrick James is. They know who goddamn Al Heyman is. This is perfect all the way through and through. It's the perfect business model for boxing for these dudes to break bread. But yet no one's talking about it. But me. And I'm not an Errol Spence fan. I'm just being absolutely on my neutrality game right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you that it's millions out there for these brothers. And Charlo up here talking stupid, man. Why dominate this mug together? No, tell Maul to move his ass up to 168. You move up to 60 to get a second division. After you do what I sit up there and suggested. Goddamn, Mike Tyson even said it. If Mike Tyson can't convince Maul Charlo to persuade his brother to break bread, they selfish as fuck, dog. You gonna say you ain't selfish, but you're gonna say you'll vacate, and then my boy got to want to win them. If they ain't the most selfish motherfucking shit, oh my God, that is the most selfish shit I heard this year. Like, Cambosis don't come close. All the selfish shit he doing don't come close to this. This hurts even more because we're talking about my people. We're talking about a person that's on the borderline, if he gets it done, to become undisputed. And he won't even put it out there that he would allow or permit or grant access to Errol Spence Jr., who's on the pound for pound list, to share the glory with him. I'm gonna let that sizzle, bro. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everyone who pulled up, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Showtime. Keep on doing your thing. Shout out to Team Williams Jr., man. We're getting it in. Roy Jones Jr., shout out to Team Jahad Tucker. Yeah, I mean, y'all keep grinding out there doing your thing. And everybody who pulled up, I appreciate you. Salute to you. And put the word out there, man. Y'all know it's a motherfucking gems and what I said about this shit. Y'all know it makes sense, especially you Texas cats. Y'all know this motherfucker makes sense. Y'all know that Jamel Charlo and them Charlo twins being selfish, bro. Y'all want to talk about black, goddamn Al this, Al that. What about this right here? Errol Spence said it. We brothers. Brothers supposed to break bread. Somebody tell them Mel Charlo that if you're gonna break bread, you don't spread crumbs out that motherfucker when you have the whole loaf in your hand and say, "Here, my brother. Here, eat." You don't put crumbs out there. If you really want to eat, go fetch them crumbs.